Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today back with another Mercenaries video. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the corrupted Murlocs fight and talking about why it is actually worth farming, and it's a pretty decent bounty. So if you're looking to get some coins, we can look at the rewards here: Nzoth, Murky, and Nefarian coins. Now this is great because the vast majority of players are not going to have Nzoth or Murky done, as they are the two most recently released mercenaries, and Nefarian is relatively recent as well. So this is a good bounty. Like, I'm in the boat where I only need like 3 more mercenaries. 2 of those 3 are Nzoth and Murky. So as long as you need at least 2 out of the 3 rewards from the event here, or from the bounty here, this is worth doing. I timed it out, and we are going to go through it here in a minute, but I did time it out, and on average, this usually takes about 9 to 10 minutes for the fire comp. Might take a little bit longer with other comps, but generally, the consistent run I was getting is about 9 or 10 minutes. Now, if you compare this to Heroic 1-1, which is a pretty standardized method of farming, that takes about 3 minutes and nets you 10 coins for a specific mercenary. So with this one, time efficiency wise, you can usually get between 30 and 50 coins for any of these mercenaries. So more often than not, I get at least 30 coins for mercs that I need. And comparing the 2 times, it just ends up being worth it. So happy to see this. Definitely happy that they're putting more recent stuff in a new bounty, and that we actually have a bounty we can farm for Nzoth coins during the event. In the past, we would not get access to the bounties that had the event characters' coins until after the event, so that's another positive change. So I'm going to show you what comps I like using for this. So the main one here that I normally go through, I believe it's the same one I cleared Heroic with. This is just your standard fire comp. You can take your pick on the fire or the ice elemental. A lot of the time I've been liking the fire recently, as I find the fire damage is more useful than the freeze, but both are good. Rag with his extra fire damage, but you can also go for the extra health if you really want, as you get a lot of fire damage passives usually anyway. And then Geddon for that AoE with Mark of Conflagration. Chi-Ji is our backup kind of fire unit here in case one of them happens to die, or if it's just a very red heavy board. I am rocking Nzoth purely to give a chance at getting his coins from the slot that rolls on the party. So one of your 5 reward slots is on party members, so that gives me a better chance to get Nzoth coins. And then Cookie just for the additional HP. So this is the comp that I regularly farm with. Generally, your runs are going to take about 9 minutes, so it's pretty quick. And the fire comp can pretty much kill, I think, everything on normal in just 1 round, usually, which is really nice. You do want to be doing normal over heroic for this, as the time it takes and the way the rewards work, normal is just going to be generally more effective for getting good coins. So that's the main comp I use. I did come up with like kind of a an alternative here though. And honestly, I'm sure there are a lot of alternatives you can use because this bounty's not that hard. I'm sure nature does good here too. Beasts, all that stuff. But this one, at least the opener, which is all you really need, is a little bit more budget and can probably do just fine with the dragons. So the rare dragons, Yulon with Pearl of Yulon, Sinestra with Mana Brooch, and Nefarian with Chromatic Dragonflight. The other equipment could be good too, but I do like this one quite a lot in PvE when you have a lot of dragons. And now I put a bunch of dragons in my backline, but you don't have to do that if you don't have these dragons, as there are legendary dragons back here. So we do have Alex and Longjin. You can also put in Deathwing. I just wanted a little bit of color diversity. And then again, Cookie for the HP. You could throw Nzoth back there for a better chance at his coins, or Murky as well. Really, I think you just need those 3 dragons in the front, and you should be able to clear the bounty just fine. So we're going to dive right on into the bounty here. Before we do, if you enjoy this type of content, do remember to like and subscribe. Does a ton to help out the channel and keeps the Mercenaries videos coming. So without further ado, let's get into the bounty. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. Always nice scouting out your path, but generally you don't really have to worry about it too much. If you want to go for a chance at Mysterious Stranger, you can go for the node, but it is reduced now, so I usually don't bother with it. We're going to go this way with the Spirit Healer, as it gives us one free track, but generally these ones aren't that bad. Especially on normal, I think the vast majority of PvE comps can deal with this, because the Murlocs just don't do a whole ton. So we'll just send out our fire units. And sometimes I do use Chi if it's a double red opener, but it's not really necessary. So we're just gonna blast them down. I do like that they gave us kind of a new board, this darker board. Definitely curious to see what other bounties they come up with for this, because you'd imagine these are going to be like the bounty, or this is going to be the zone for the new Mercenaries drop. So it'll be interesting to see what other bounties they put in here. I'm really curious if they're going to be going with spells, or if they're going to be going with, or not spells, if they're going to be going with Nagas, or Murlocs, or both, or any Colossal type stuff. Because this boss is kind of like a Colossal. Maybe they just keep the Colossals to the bosses, which is probably easier for balance, but I still think it would be really cool if we got a Mercenary that was like in 2 parts, or something. Alright, so double blue here. So sometimes against these, I just like to hold back the rag, because you can have your guys die in normal here. Usually it doesn't happen, but sometimes it can, so sometimes I'll just swap it up like this, because rag's not really doing anything against these units anyway. Alright, now you can just pick them off pretty quickly. So yeah, the fire comp's been really good. If you're looking for a comp that can pretty much handle all the PvE content this game has to offer for the most part, you really can't go wrong with the fire comp. I think the only area you might struggle a little bit in is Blackrock, since they have like a few fights that are specifically like made so you can't be using fire. But other than that, the vast majority of content in this game gets handled really easily with the fire comp. It's just like, it was the #1 PvE comp at launch, and once we got Belinda and now Chi-Ji, it's only gotten better over time. So highly recommend that if you're looking for a comp to farm up. You just get these 3, or like I said, you don't even necessarily need Belinda sometimes. Like, you could probably get by fine with Chi-Ji. It's just nice to have the extra versatility in colors. It'll be great if we can get some more green fire units as well, because right now the only other one is Tavish, and you can only use his every other turn. So yeah, we can see here, Geddon almost died into the triple green, so you do have to be a little bit careful sometimes. Alright, then we got some more passive fire damage. Again, that shows up quite a bit, so that's another reason, like, if you have a rag and you see he's dying a bunch, just throw the extra HP equipment on him, because the fire damage really doesn't matter a whole ton. Like, yeah, it's nice, but if you're losing the rag, because of it, then it's not worth it usually.
You take me for an ordinary mage?
All right, another double green. But yeah, I mean, you can see it. The fire comp, it's pretty repetitive, but it's nice because it almost always kills in one turn, so that is going to be speeding up the amount of runs you get in. So that's why I like this one. You could do it with a lot of other comps and probably still have it be successful enough where it's still better or on par with 1-1, which is the nice thing. I hope we see more of that with the new drops. And the new bounties and all that stuff. So 3 more to go here. Goes pretty quick. So we got double blue. So we'll just keep rag back for this one.
Do you take me for an ordinary mage?
And we'll just zap them down real fast. Alright, so they're just barely hanging on there. This should kill them, no problem. I do hope we get some harder bounties eventually, but I feel like that's going to be one of those things where they're not going to give us anything super duper hard until we get more of the endgame PvE stuff revealed, as they want it to be available for all players. And now they have the issue of they can't really make every heroic super hard because you're locking items behind it, and they don't want players to not be able to get the items. We kind of saw when Alterac released and that was first being implemented, that was a really big issue I saw a lot of players talk about. So it's kind of a tricky position to be in. I would like more challenging content for sure. We've talked about it on the podcast, but it would be awesome if there was something I could do that's really hard and you fail a bunch, but if you beat it, you get like a really big reward. Maybe a ton of coins or specific coins, or maybe not even coins at all, something else entirely. But that would be really cool, because right now, once you finish leveling your mercs, there's not really much of a reason to play PvE, which is unfortunate because, you know, I spent all this time leveling these characters, and even though PvP is my main interest, I would really like if there was some hard, challenging PvE thing I could do with my maxed out characters. But I have a feeling we'll see that for the end game stuff in time. Hopefully it doesn't take forever, but I don't think it's going to be coming in the next Mercs drop, but that would be sweet if it did. But it's probably going to take till later on in the year, I think, for them to fully reveal and release that. But it can't come soon enough, because this game really does need a bit more to it. Because if we have another long period between releases and they don't step up the events or balance stuff, it's going to be frustrating. It was definitely already frustrating with this Trigor meta, and we only really had to deal with that for 2 months, because that came at the beginning of April. Now we are halfway through May. The new stuff's probably coming at the end of May. But we've made it to the boss here. On doing pretty good time, honestly. I like doing this on mobile a lot of the time. I actually think the loading screens are faster on mobile, at least if you have a more recent device. But it's still plenty quick on PC. Again, 9 to 10 minutes was usually about the average I was getting. But even the boss, they just die super easily to fire. I think you can usually kill them in 2 or 3 turns. I'm curious if we're going to see more split mercenaries like this, though. Like the like the Gigafin. Because I would like to see that as more boss stuff. You can do interesting stuff. Like, I think this is a cool fight. I do wish it was a little bit harder. Because even on Heroic, I wouldn't really call this a hard fight. But again, it's like I talked about with the endgame stuff. We'll probably get that eventually. Alright, so Rag cleans up with Die Insect. We have super smooth run, didn't even lose a unit. Fire just takes care of business. Again, that Dragon comp I showed off also works really well. And pretty much anything, if you've been able to farm, you know, any of the level 30 plus or whatever PvE content with a comp, you can most likely take it here. So I got pretty unlucky here. Just to break down how these slots work, these 3 here on the left are from the bounty. This one is from your party, and this one is a random slot. So here we can see I got a little bit unlucky, and all 3 of the bounty ones rolled nefarian. Usually I have at least 1 or 2 of these that roll on Nzoth or Murky, and then sometimes you can get lucky and get your party slot to roll Nzoth, or if you have Murky in there as well. These can also be 15s, so it's usually 15 to 20 coins here. So usually I'm getting about 30-ish to 40 coins a run, but this one's a little unlucky because I already have nefarian. But that's the first time I've actually had triple nefarian, so it's not super common. But yeah, that is kind of my recommended method of getting some of these coins for Nzoth and Murky. It's a really good bounty. Happy they're making the bounties a little bit more worth doing now. So as long as you have need for 2 out of 3 of these mercenary coins, this should be an effective use of your time, even compared to 1-1, which is usually the most efficient method. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.